April 1945. The Allied forces are slowly closing in on Berlin. The once mighty Third Reich, the great power of Germany, is on the edge of collapse. Deep inside the city, in a dark, underground bunker, Adolf Hitler is hiding. But this bunker is more than just a place. It's a symbol of the last hope, where war and despair have become one. Outside, the world is changing fast, but inside, time feels frozen. Hitler knows his dream is falling apart, but he refuses to accept it. This story is not just about the fall of a dictator, it's about the fear of war, the fear in people's hearts, and how a powerful force slowly brings destruction upon itself. Today, we'll explore Hitler's final days, the people around him, and how a terrifying chapter in history came to an end. This is the story of downfall. At the beginning, we see an elderly woman named Tauder. This old lady knows everything about Hitler, what he ate, what he read, how he lived. The reason she knows so much is because Tauder was once Hitler's secretary. She starts to tell the story that Hitler was a very cruel man, someone who had completely lost his humanity. Then the scene shifts back to 1942 near the end of World War II. We see some women who have been summoned by Hitler. He is conducting interviews in his underground bunker, a secret shelter deep beneath the ground where he could survive bombings. There, Tauder sees Hitler for the first time. Hitler picks one of these women to be his secretary, and Tauder is chosen. He takes a liking to her and gives her the job. Next, the story moves to 1944. We see Berlin, once the most beautiful city in the world, but now it is abandoned and destroyed by the constant gunfire of war. Seeing this, Hitler becomes deeply worried. He asks his officers what is happening. They tell him that Russian and American armies could enter Berlin at any moment. The Russian and American soldiers have already pushed German forces out of many European countries and are now coming to kill Hitler himself. Hearing this, Hitler orders all his officers to burn every official document in the government offices of Berlin. Following his command, all papers are set on fire and destroyed. Here, we also learn that it is Hitler's birthday today. To celebrate this occasion, Hitler gathers some of his closest people and holds a birthday party. During the celebration, one of his officers advises him to leave the city, warning that if he doesn't, the Russian army will kill him. The officer urges Hitler to use his political connections and find refuge in another country. The officers believed that if Hitler left, they too could escape the war and save their lives. But Hitler firmly refuses, saying he will never leave Berlin. He even tells them that the day he dies, they can do politics or whatever they want. Then something important catches your eye. Hitler's hand is trembling noticeably. This is because he suffered from a condition affecting his left hand, so much so that he rarely showed it in public, only revealing it to those closest to him. Next, the scene shifts again. Hitler looks at a model of Berlin and shares his dream of rebuilding the city to make it the most beautiful city in the world. He tells his officers that if they win this war, fixing the city won't take long. At this point, Hitler still believes victory is possible, although we know all his forces are losing badly. Yet, his spirit remains unbroken. At this moment, Tauder, his secretary, urges him to leave, saying they cannot win this war. Other officers echo the same advice, but Hitler clearly refuses, stating again that he will never abandon the city. He wants to witness everything with his own eyes until the very end. Meanwhile, in Berlin, many people are fleeing the city quickly, but there are still some who see Hitler as their god, his true followers and loyal fans. Among them are mostly young boys, around 15 to 20 years old. They believe whatever happens, they will fight the Russian army and save their country. One day, a boy's father comes to take him away from the war, hoping to escape with him. But the boy refuses, saying he will never abandon the fight. His father warns him that the Russian and American soldiers have powerful tanks and could arrive anytime. He tells him they won't be able to stop them and will die if they try. Suddenly, another boy interrupts and says, "Your son just blew up 2 Russian tanks." Because of that, Hitler himself is coming to award him a medal. But the first boy can't believe that Hitler would leave the safety of his bunker to give out medals in such danger. The father tries to convince his son again, but the boy calls him a coward and walks away. Later, Hitler calls a meeting with all his officers and closest people. He says, "I don't understand anything. Tell me, how do we win this war?" One officer answers, "Sir, we have lost on every front." Hearing this, Hitler says, "Our navy is strong. Send them. They are the best in the world." The officer replies, "Sir, all our navy personnel are dead. The navy has been destroyed." Hitler then orders, "Then send our 10th Battalion, our special forces." The officer warns, "If we send them, the Russians will attack us from another side." Hearing this, Hitler loses his temper and shouts, "Don't teach me how to fight or what to do." At this point, we see Hitler losing his mental balance as he watches Germany's defeat become certain. Another officer enters and says, "Sir, there are 3 million people in this city, including children and women. What will happen to them?" Hitler shouts back, "In war, there are only soldiers. We only care about the soldiers." In other words, Hitler shows he has no concern for the common people. Hearing this, all the officers come out and say, "Hitler has lost his mind. There's no way we can win this war." But Hitler refuses to accept defeat. He's determined never to let Berlin, the capital of Germany, fall into Russian hands. The scene changes, and we see Hitler leave his bunker to salute the young boys who had destroyed Russian tanks. Among them is the boy whose father had come to take him away earlier. Hitler awards him a medal and tells him, "I am very proud of you. If everyone else were like you, we would never have lost." The boy feels proud and happy hearing this. A little later, Hitler calls a soldier and orders him to cut off all essential supplies in Germany, electricity, water, and food, to prevent the Russians from surviving if they invade. An officer warns, "The people are already starving and suffering. If you do this, the civilians will die." But Hitler replies coldly, "I have no concern for those who are not fighting in this war." Meanwhile, officers and ladies in the bunker are celebrating Hitler's birthday. Suddenly, a bomb blast shakes the place, injuring many, including Tauder. The blast was caused by the Russians, who have now entered Berlin and killed half of the German soldiers. In response, Hitler calls another meeting and orders his trusted officer Stanley to lead troops and kill the invading Russian soldiers. Stanley was very close to Hitler and kept him informed about the situation. But another officer stands up and says, "Sir, Stanley refuses your order. He says he won't risk the lives of his soldiers." Hearing this, Hitler flies into a rage. He shouts, "I never went to military academy. I've learned nothing there, but my spirit has never broken. I conquered Europe with this spirit. And you all can't even win one battle? You are deceiving me. Do you think I will ever leave Berlin? Never. I will never abandon my city." After that, some officers decide to leave the city because the situation is hopeless. Hitler permits them to go, knowing there is no other choice. But Hitler's girlfriend, Eva, says she will stay here. Tauder also says she will stay with him, meaning they will remain until Hitler's death. Among those who still love Hitler, some remain loyal to him. Here we meet another key figure, Joseph, Hitler's right-hand man. Joseph oversaw all of Hitler's secret affairs and has now come to the bunker with his family. In the next scene, we see Hitler sitting with some women, including Tauder. He tells them firmly, "I will give my life willingly, but never to the enemy's hands." He says he always followed his own will, and when the time comes to die, he will listen only to himself. Hearing this, Eva says, "I don't want to die at the hands of the enemy either, and when I die, I want to look beautiful." She pulls out a small capsule called Syphite from her bag and explains that it's a poison that kills within seconds. She doesn't want to die by a gunshot that might disfigure her face. She wants to die with her beauty intact. Then Hitler gives the capsule to Tauder and another woman, saying, "There is no better gift I can give you at this time." Next, we see Eva writing a letter to her older sister. In it, she says, "Our lives can end any moment. I'm sending you this necklace Hitler gave me on my birthday. You can sell it and survive." Meanwhile, 2 of Hitler's officers are burning all papers containing secret documents and intelligence to prevent the enemy from gaining any information about Hitler. Now, the people of Germany believe their country has lost the war and that no one can save them. At this moment, Hitler receives a letter from one of his closest officers named Harmun. Harmun writes, "You will be dead within hours, and I will take control of the city. You are not fit to run it." Hitler becomes furious upon reading this and orders an officer to kill Harmun immediately. That night, Hitler and his close associates sit down for dinner. Hitler rants incoherently, showing he cannot accept the defeat. His mental state is breaking down. He orders an officer to command the Air Force to surround and destroy the Russians from all sides. Germany once had the best air force in the world, but the officer tells him, "Sir, our air force was destroyed long ago." Hitler refuses to believe it. He insists he still has his Air Force and Navy, and with his elite forces, he wanted to conquer the world. Another officer warns him that in the next 2 or 3 days, Russian and American troops will kill them all and storm into Berlin at any moment. Hearing this, Hitler calls all his top officers again and tells them, "We must launch another attack on the enemy." But none of the officers answer him. They know that the soldiers upstairs are almost wiped out and those in the bunker below are trapped, so who will attack the Russians? Understanding this grim reality, one officer suggests surrendering to the Russians, but Hitler firmly refuses, saying, "I will never surrender," and then leaves. Next, we see Tauder running to Hitler. Hitler has her write a letter expressing his feelings. In it, he says he loves Germany and its people deeply and will never surrender out of respect for them. Before dying, Hitler takes one final step. He marries his girlfriend Eva. After that, they meet with an officer and give him a strict order. After Hitler and Eva die, their bodies must never fall into Russian hands. Hitler fears that if the Russians capture his body, they will put it in a museum or display it as a trophy, which he wants to prevent at all costs. He orders the officer to burn their bodies to ashes after their deaths. This is the officer's task and Hitler's command. Though the officer does not want Hitler to commit suicide, he has no choice but to obey the order. For this, Hitler orders 200 liters of gasoline. Then he meets with his doctor and tells him that soon he will give up his life. The doctor notices that Hitler's hand is shaking badly and warns him. If he tries to shoot himself, the trembling might cause the bullet to miss and injure him instead of killing him, leaving him in pain. The doctor advises him to first take a cyanide tablet, a deadly poison, and then shoot himself. Hitler wants to die completely on his own terms, so after talking with the doctor, he goes to dinner. But he doesn't even enter the dining room properly. He tries to eat, but can't. His body has lost all strength. It's the final stage of a person's life. Once a man who dreamed of conquering the world and was one of the most powerful people, now unable even to stand on his own feet. Then Hitler tells Tauder, the time has come. Everything is over. He says goodbye to everyone and goes to a room with his wife Eva. Outside, his men wait, knowing they are seeing Hitler for the last time. Then a gunshot rings out. Inside the room, Hitler ends his life by shooting himself, choosing death on his own terms. This scene answers the question many have had: how did Hitler die? He never surrendered to the enemy, but took his own life. Afterward, his body is wrapped in cloth and carried out of the bunker to be burned. A pit is dug to bury his remains, but before that, gasoline is poured over the body. Just as the officers are about to set the fire, the Russian Air Force launches an attack. At that moment, a few remaining soldiers quickly pour gasoline on Hitler's body and set it on fire, giving him one final salute. Meanwhile, Tauder reaches Hitler's room. The sight of blood and the gun on the floor leaves her frozen in shock. News of Hitler and Eva's suicide spreads quickly to the Russians. With Hitler gone, a new government rises. The new leadership immediately surrenders to the Soviet army, saying, "Hitler is no more, we seek peace." But the horrors don't end there. Germany's interior minister, fearing that the children of high-ranking Nazi officials might fall into enemy hands, feeds them cyanide tablets, the same poison used before, ending their lives before the Soviets can reach them. Moments later, he takes his own life as well. It's a terrifying sequence of events, a mass of quiet, tragic endings in the shadows of a fallen empire. Joseph, Hitler's most loyal aide, is still holding firm. He tells his men, "Hitler never wanted surrender. We should die fighting." But his fellow officers try to reason with him. The war is over, the soldiers are gone, and nothing remains to fight for. Eventually, Joseph understands. He turns to his wife and says, "Go to the children." In the next scene, we see his wife gently poisoning their sleeping child to spare them from the fate that awaits. Then Joseph and his wife walk outside the bunker. They turn to each other, raise their guns, and end their lives. Their bodies, like Hitler's, are burned to ensure they are never found, never displayed, never remembered as trophies. Half the remaining officers and soldiers in the bunker begin to escape, but those closest to Hitler, the ones who swore never to surrender, choose a darker path. One by one, they shoot themselves, ending their lives inside that cold bunker, refusing to live in a world where their Führer is no more. After that, we see the outside world, flames and gunfire everywhere. The city is in ruins. We learn that Germany has officially surrendered. The country is now under Soviet control. But in the middle of this chaos, Tauder manages to escape. With quiet cleverness, she disguises herself and slips out of Germany without being recognized. She survives. And in the final moments, we see her riding a bicycle with a small child by her side, heading toward another part of Europe. A soft smile rests on her face. The war is over. Her life must begin again. The film ends with a reflection on Hitler and World War II. We're reminded that Hitler started this war with the dream of conquering the entire world. In the process, over 50 million lives were lost, including 6 million Jews. After the war, the Soviet army hunted down and executed most of Hitler's closest allies. Those who managed to escape to other countries were later tracked and killed by Israeli agents. Among all of Hitler's inner circle, only Tauder survived, and it's believed she lived out her final years in Poland. No doubt, it was a powerful film. One thing is clear: Under Hitler, Germany advanced rapidly. Its industry, economy, and military power were unmatched. But had Hitler not abused that power, had he not tried to dominate the world, perhaps Germany would still be one of the world's greatest nations today. If he had chosen diplomacy over domination, Germany might have stood where America stands today, at the top. This story leaves us with a powerful reminder. When great power is placed in our hands, how we use it defines everything. As the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. And no matter who we are, me, you, anyone, we are all human. And as humans, we are prone to mistakes. We can't change the wrongs of the past. But moving forward, we must try to ensure our power is never used to harm, but to build. Friends, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and drop a comment to let me know what you thought. Most importantly, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your love and support are what keep me going. Thank you so much for watching.